G'day everyone, great to have your company on Tassie Rules Tasmania's Footy Show, brought to you of course by DLM Machinery. Firstly, a big shout out to everyone who joined us for our first show last week. Great start to the year, and I've got to say as well, we are now on TikTok. I've got no idea how it works, but I've got an expert doing it, and Instagram as well. So give us a follow on there. You can catch all the snippets. Some great guests coming up tonight. We're going to hear all about the annual game at Pyengana, catch up on the SFL with David O'Byrne, but before that, this guy is going to be playing his 150th senior game for his club this weekend. Up at the Scottsdale Football Club. He coached them last year. He's just playing. He's got rid of all that stress for 2025. Joel Hayes, welcome. Good to see you.
Cheers, Rick. Thanks to be back, mate.
You've gone and got the, normally you get a grand final haircut, but you've had the beard trimmed and the hair trimmed under the cap.
A bit of a trim. Mrs. put me under the pump this week, so I went and got a bit of a trim up for the weekend, but boys will probably get stuck into me a bit at training tonight about it. But
no doubt. That's all good fun, a bit of banter. And family man, we've got a great photo here of you in the lineup with that's up on the Scottsdale socials at the moment with the kids there in the pic as well, and nice photos there of you over all the years, mate. And have a look at that. You can tell you've had the beard trim.
Yeah, a couple on board there too, I think.
This was only a few weeks ago. It was a cracking night we had up there at Scottsdale. Tell us a story here, because Isaac Smith, of course, former Hawthorn champion, won't talk about Geelong. It was a terrific night with him, but he wanted you to come up on stage because you were officially or unofficially maybe the babysitter, because you worked at Barnbougle behind the bar and had to look after Hawthorn on a lot of visits over the years.
Yeah, no, built up a bit of a rapport with Isaac, I suppose, with the boys coming down for 4 or 5 years. Glorified babysitter pretty much. So, I had a bit of banter with the boys, and then obviously when I was there after a pracky match, we had a bit of a function a few weeks ago, and it didn't take him long to soon throw a bit of mud at me while I was down the back getting a beer. So it's good to catch up with him, but he's a good snoozer.
It was.
And it was a good bit of fun. So. Yeah.
Thing that struck me about Scottsdale, and we can see it here in the photo with the kids behind you, it's a real family club, and times are pretty tough, obviously, on field at the moment with the senior men. The women's, I think, have got a real shot this year in the Premier League. But tell us a little bit about Scottsdale, because you've banded together. The numbers are looking pretty strong. Tough time on field for the blokes, but how are things up there?
Yeah, things are going all right. Obviously, we knew coming in, as I said when I probably came in last year, we knew it was going to be a step up, going up to the Premier League. So it's up to us as a club and the other clubs to get up around where the Lonnies and the North Lonnies are and get up to their standard instead of them dropping down to where we are. So it's up to us to be doing the extras with training and just all those little things to get up to standard to where they are. So. But the young guys are going all right. They're putting in the work and doing the extras. So it's just up to us, a few older fellas we got there to just keep them going, just showing them the right way, really.
Yeah. You saw firsthand, obviously, the development of the younger brigade as coach last year. Where do you see the future? How do you see the future at Scottsdale with the locals in particular?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's a good batch of young guys and girls coming through. All right. So they've got a few young girls playing in the women. And I think we probably had 7 guys the first round play their first game, and 5 of them were sort of 15, 16 years old. So to put that with the 4 or 5 that played last year, like we've probably got a group of 8 or 10 sort of 16, 17-year-olds there just starting out. So they stick together and keep working and just keep doing the right things. Yeah, it's nothing to say in a couple of years with a few recruits, and which is the hardest thing, getting the recruits. But if we can get them with the younger guys that are there, yeah, it's very promising.
The support of the town certainly seems to be there. I was out at Longford last week watching you take on the Tigers, and at one grandstand there, a lot of supporters were sitting in there, and I saw some of the old guys like a Kenny Lett, who was an absolute star for Scottsdale, out there watching the game, listening to Ricky Dolliver, the coach. Good feel about.
Yeah, no, it's good. We do actually travel over the past couple of years when we have probably struggled a bit, and even coaching last year, you'd sort of go in. It was a thing of ours to make sure we actually go in on an away game and travel, make sure you go and have a drink, whether it's a Coke or a beer or whatever, but actually go in and say good day or whatever. And actually got a couple of messages last year from a couple of clubs that said, good to see so many people come in after the game and have a drink and that sort of stuff. So yeah, we do, even though it is over the sideline, there's a bit of travel. There's always supporters and the same ones there every week nearly. There's some older guys that have been watching since probably late 70s, early 80s, and they still come every week. So, and they don't really have anything to do with the club anymore. Like, they don't have kids playing or anything like that. They keep coming to watch, whether we win by 10 goals or get beat by 20 goals. They're still there every week.
Yeah. Your club has copped a lot on social media, and in particular. Is it water off a duck's back to you? Like, do you think that there is a plan and people need to give this competition and this structure time? Because I think it's going to even itself out eventually, certainly not this year, but do you think people need to just look a bit longer?
Yeah, probably a bit more long-term for everything. I suppose, like I said before, with us, we just need to get up to that level to make it viable. So, and that will take time. Like, we can't expect to just click fingers and all of a sudden be up there with North Lonnie and Lonnie and these sort of teams. Like, it will take a bit of time, but give it sort of another year or 2 years. Yeah, I definitely think we'll get there for sure.
Let's get back to you. 150th senior match. You've played a lot more games than that for Scottsdale overall, but what are some of your great memories? Anything stick out in particular?
There's a couple. I was mentioned to you off air before. We played a senior game. Wasn't actually a grand final, but a final. We played out at Windsor Park. Pretty sure we played Rochelle. Might have been a prelim, I think. And it was, literally pissed down for about 3 days and was nearly needed a scuba tank to got tackled. A couple of boys nearly got drowned, I think. We had a couple of blokes in there couldn't swim, so they nearly needed floaties. But, that was a good win. We hadn't looked like beating them all year, and then, got up and won. We struggled a bit the next week. We come through. I think we had to win every final to get through, but that's one that definitely sticks out for a senior win for sure.
Fantastic. Well, just to finish off, we're going to have a look, see our viewers can see what's coming up in the Premier Division this weekend in the NTFA. It's up there now on the screen. Obviously, you guys are taking on Launceston. Home game, of course, at Scottsdale. Women's at 12:35, the men at 2:30. The women's game will be a terrific one. I think probably two of the better teams playing in the Premier League Women's. And then Deloraine are taking on Longford out at Deloraine, and up at Youngtown Oval, South are playing North. Of course, we've got the Anzac Day games as well across other competitions, so we'll be having a look at those a little bit later on in the show. But Lonnie, tomorrow, be a tough one, but again, it's 1 week, you develop and looking for improvement.
Yeah, pretty much, mate. Yeah, obviously they'll be pretty strong. Obviously got a few guys back that we played against last year from Bridgenorth with Heinzie coaching, and a couple other boys from Hillwood and that sort of stuff who go all right. So yeah, it'd be a good challenge for the boys, and all we can ask for is they give effort, which they have pretty much the first couple of games. We've just probably had a couple of lapses where we've just sort of probably gone off the boil for probably 15, 20 minutes, and that's probably cost us 5 or 6 goals. So if we can shorten them lapses, and keep the pressure up like we did last week for probably a half, if we can turn that into 3 quarters and keep going forward, it's definitely be improvement. So
absolutely. Well, you got Ricky Dollar at the helm, and man with a lot of experience playing and coaching wise. I'm sure the club is going to get there. Great to catch up, mate. Hope you have a great 150th on Saturday.
Cheers,
I know
Rick.
you'll have a smile on your face as you generally always do, but nice to have you in. Thanks for coming over the sidling today.
No worries, mate. Cheers.
That's Joel Hayes joining us from the Scottsdale Football Club. Quick break, and we'll be back shortly.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice. Call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
Great to have your company on Tassie Rules. We are Tasmania's community footy show. Back for another week with thanks to DLM Machinery. Well, there is plenty going on early on in the season around all the leagues in Tasmania. It is obviously a new structure with the Tasmanian State League wrapping up last year. And we thought what a great opportunity it would be to check in down south. A great supporter of our show, the SFL. And our first guest, well, he is a former South Launceston boy. He then went south to the famous Sandy Bay Football Club, and now he runs the SFL. He is the president of the SFL. David O'Byrne joins us. Great to have you with us, David. Welcome.
No, thanks for having us on. It's always good to talk footy, Rick, and thanks for your support to the league and footy in Tassie. It's very much appreciated. So happy to chat.
Thank you. No, we are very happy to chat to you. It's a terrific competition, obviously, with the regional leagues. Obviously, the Northwest NWFL not as impacted as greatly as the NTFA and the SFL. But I will say one thing, probably at the top, fantastic to see Circular Head Saints get their first win in 6.5 years a couple of weeks ago, but also to see the East Devonport Football Club back in the competition as well. That must be great as a lover of football to see a great club like the Swans back in action, David.
Yeah, no, it is, and I'm sure Girdleston Park will be pumping at the presence of the seniors. It was such a sad day when such an iconic club fell over, and it's actually really good to hear, because you hear in football of clubs and leagues sort of changing and getting smaller, but it's great to see such an iconic club come back, and I'm sure a win for them isn't too far away. I played an under-19s game at Girdleston Park once against Devonport Blues back in the old statewide days, so it's a beautiful ground, and I really wish them well. It's a great story in footy.
I remember umpiring a game down there one day, and for all the wrong reasons, because of a guy that ended up getting suspended for a very, very long time. But I'll tell you what, it's a big ground to run on, David.
Yes, no. When we first saw it, we got off the bus. We thought we were heading to the Devonport Oval, but it was back in the day, in the early days of the statewide league, where the under-19s played at a separate ground. They only had 2 games, the seniors and reserves, at the main ground. And we got out of the park and out of the bus, and we looked around and we thought, oh, we're in for a day here. But it was beautiful, beautiful surface. Fantastic.
Let's get on to the SFL. As I said, we've got the Premier League competition. Interesting. There's been some, reading some feedback, obviously, with the TSL clubs. They're used to having programs and everything like that. And I love this because there's been a bit of feedback on match day programs. And I believe the board have taken it on notice, and it will be a discussion point at the next board meeting. But I know there's been an interim measure in place where the clubs have a template where they can enter the team. So it's great to get feedback, obviously, and something that'll be considered, because I know you and I would have grown up having programs and seeing all that, but times have changed.
Absolutely.
But great to see you taking it on board.
Yeah, no, it's an important issue, and I think the feedback that we received, because there's a bit of history of this. Before I became president, we had a number of sort of issues with the production and logistics and delivery and use of the program, and 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the club said, look, to be honest, it's not really worth our while. Some clubs stopped doing it or ordering the program, and some clubs said, well, we're happy to do it. We'll do our own. So we left it to the clubs, and obviously it's a period of adjustment for the TSL clubs, and we got a bit of feedback, and I thought, well, actually, it's some legitimate questions, and our view has always been, how do we make the game more accessible? How do we get more people to see the players, know their names, get a part of some of the character of a club, and having a program may be a key part in that. So we know that through the Play HQ app and the website, that's got all of the information they need, and live scoring, etc. But having something in hand when you're for some fans and some supporters to see the numbers and the players' names, we think it's worthy of conversation, and we've got mixed feedback about what we do, but we're happy to provide as much information as we can, because really it is about promoting the game. And when we relaunched the SFL under the new statewide structure, we really wanted to bring people back to football. And if people are saying that they want a hand program, well, then we'll try and find our way to make that work and make it as informative, as entertaining as possible. So we'll consider that. We're always trying to find ways to improve communication, really.
Fantastic. Good to hear. We're going to pop up the ladders, David, for our viewers to see in the women's and the men's competitions. And been a terrific start to the season for the women, particularly for North Hobart. 3 from 3, the Demons, which is great to see for them. Clarence with a couple of wins as well there in second spot. And if we turn our attention to the men's Premier League, Lauderdale have had an undefeated start to the season. And it's great to see also North Hobart back up there and performing well on the park as well. They're on 2 from 3, as are the Clarence Roos. Interesting one here. Brighton, they might well be on the bottom of the ladder. No wins from 3. Of course, they're coming up against former TSL clubs. But, gee, we caught up with Paul Kennedy last year on the show. He's a very impressive individual, and they've been very competitive. I don't think they're too far away. Have you seen their start to the season, David?
Yeah, well, I went out and watched the first game. It was a beautiful Friday night out at Pontville when they played Glenorchy in the first round, and the place was pumping. There were over 2,000 people there, and I've said it a couple of times, they ran out at Savs before quarter time. So that's an indicator of people that are coming back to the footy. And
Did you get one, David? Did you get a Sav?
No. Sadly, I didn't get one, which was an absolute disgrace, and I've raised that directly with the club. But they've just said you're just going to have to come back to another game and buy a SAV, which I will do.
Fair enough.
But what I really like about Brighton's approach, and particularly PK Paul Kennedy, as you said, he's well known to the football community in Tasmania. He's well regarded, and he and the club have made a clear plan that they want to attract local people. They want to have Brighton people and that sort of southern Midlands or northern suburbs, Hobart people who are from Brighton representing their community, so they have a connection. And whilst they were very competitive in the SFL Community League last year, there were big questions about the step up. But what I like about PK is that he's drilled his team very well. They play a good brand of football, and when you actually watch the play-by-play, it doesn't actually reflect the score. They just need to find a way to score, and I think a win is not far away for Brighton. But they have been, and you speak to the opposing coaches and the opposing clubs who've played them so far this season, and it's nothing but positive comments about how they've stepped up into the new league. So whilst they haven't won a game, they've been competitive in every game, and there are some quarters where you would say they've won the quarter. So that stacks up well in their first year. And we've got to remember that 5 or 6 years ago, this is a club that didn't have a senior team. In the men's, they had a women's team and a reserves team. They almost went into recess, and the community and the club has worked so hard to come back. And to see where they are today is a credit to the board and credit to the Brighton Football Club community. It really is a good story for football, and PK and Paul Kennedy has got them well drilled, and we're really excited about their start.
Great 2,000 crowd on a Friday night, and Pontville, absolutely beautiful ground down there as well. Friday night up against the AFL, that's a fantastic result. Segueing beautifully into the matches coming up this weekend in the SFL Premier League. We might have a look at them now, because obviously it's a big day coming up tomorrow on Anzac Day. We've got a couple of games at the Twin Ovals. We've got the Kingborough Tigers. They're going to be up against Glenorchy, the women at 12, the men at 2. And then at the home of football, North Hobart taking on Lauderdale with the women's at 12:15 and the men at 3. And then on Saturday, Brighton will be making the trip to Ninja Stadium to take on the Roos. That men's match, standalone game there, it'll be at 1:30 p.m. So it begs the question, David, right of reply. Peter Gutwin put it out there that the NTFA, stronger competition, better league than the SFL. What's your view on that?
Well, what do you say? You've got to, the old cliches in football, be humble, one game at a time, stick to your process, stick to your structures. Well, I think Peter, I had a bit of a crack at him on a media channel, a free-to-air media channel recently, and someone said, why did you have a crack at Peter for? And I said, well, he started it. And so now he started it, and he reckons the NTFA, well, the thing is, you've got a whole lot of southern clubs, the 5 clubs down here in the Premier League, former TSL clubs in the Premier League, who felt like they played against the rest of the state in North and Launceston. So they feel, and we've got a number of players who've got a point to prove, that now that we've got the 5 clubs in the south and the 6 with Brighton coming together to build a team to take on the NTFA, we're more than competitive. And I actually can't wait for the moment where Peter acknowledges the fact that we're a better league. He shakes my hand and he buys me the first mid-strength beer. Magnificent.
And what I like about it is, if we look at the rosters, to have regional football competitions back where we're going to see the best players playing against each other, it's healthy to have this rivalry. And we can't wait for it. I think it's going to be fantastic to see how this all pans out during the course of the year. So all good fun, David. Just finally, the Community League, obviously matches coming up as well. We'll pop up the ladders very quickly. A big game coming up between, I think, Sorrel and Lindisfarne, but Signet are flying there in the men at the moment. A couple of wins as well with Sorrel and the Huonville Lions. And on the women's side, we'll take a look at the ladder there. The men are struggling, but the Claremont women, 2 from 2, a percentage of 3,420. How do you get a percentage of 3,420? I've never seen it. That's extraordinary. New Norfolk and Hutchins, the other undefeated sides as well. But that's an incredible start for the Claremont women.
Yeah, well, they've won the flag the last couple of years, and so they're red hot favourites in the Community League women. Although Hutchins in the grand final last year, I mean, Claremont went through undefeated.
Yes.
And Claremont were obviously red hot favourites. But Hutchins, up until half time, they really took it up to them, and I think they've got a point to prove as well. So it probably looked like Claremont is the yardstick with a couple of clubs really starting to push. So New Norfolk is a strong club as well in the women's comp, as is Hutchins.
Yep. And for all the supporters, it's a great Facebook page, the SFL. If you want to get details of all the times and matches happening in all the leagues, jump on the SFL Facebook page for all of that. And just finally, David, there's always a period of adjustment when it comes to these regional leagues. And have you seen it overall for Tasmanian football? As obviously there's going to be a lot happening over the next couple of years with VFL, VFLW, and 2028, of course, with the AFL. But have you seen the start to community football? What I've noticed up here in the north, particularly, the crowds seem pretty good.
Yep. And that's exactly our experience down here. And what we want really is for people to get back in the habit of going to their local club and supporting their team and getting back into the habit of Saturday afternoons, getting back to their community football clubs. And I think, we forget that the reason why we had a statewide league is to improve the standard of football for our state team. Well, we've got a state licence now in our AFL licence and a VFL team. And heading back to community regional football means that the connection with their community is much stronger because they're there every week playing in the community, and crowds have been up in not only our Premier League but also Community League, and we're very excited by that. And not just by a handful of people, there is a significant increase in crowd. Glenorchy, when they played North Hobart last week before last, they said it's the biggest crowd they'd had there in quite a while. So we're very excited about what we can build over the season, and I'm sure Peter in Launceston and Carps on the coast, bringing people back to community footy is a great thing. And
it's not just about the Premier League. So, for instance, this weekend, I think Bracknell are playing Lilydale. First time in 93 years that they played each other. It's great for community leagues. Yeah. These little townships that have got so much to play for, and obviously promotion relegation will come in eventually down the track is the plan. But how good is it for townships to be starting new rivalries?
Yeah, look, it's brilliant. And I saw that in the Examiner, both of the coaches talking about Lilydale and Bracknell and their history and their trajectory, and now coming, they are two very proud clubs, smallish towns that arguably have performed above and beyond the population of the community they represent. And so I just think that is fantastic. It gets people talking, it gets people interested, and it reminds people why the game of football is so great. It's our game. It's about communities. It's about clubs being the heart and soul. They're places where people go to celebrate, they go to mourn, and they go and enjoy each other's company. And it's I just think it's just fantastic, and it's excited. People around the south are very excited about the new brand of football and the new structure. So I'm sure that'll be replicated across the state.
Very well said, David. It is a great competition down there that's happening, and I'm really looking forward to catching some footy matches down there very shortly as well in the SFL. But David O'Byrne, former South Launceston, Sandy Bay, and now SFL president, we appreciate your time. We also appreciate your perspective on what's happening in footy, not just in the SFL, but to you and everyone there, we appreciate your support on Tassie Rules, Tasmania's footy show, because we get a lot of great stuff from you guys content-wise. So thanks very much. I look forward to catching you for a hot dog, maybe down at Pontville in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, but there's nothing like a good stab on a cold day at
there
Pontville,
is not.
Mate. Thanks for all your support. We really appreciate it.
Good on you. That's David O'Byrne, president of the SFL, joining us here on the show. Quick break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice. Call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
Great to have your company on Tassie Rules, Tasmania's footy show. Well, it is arguably one of the most stunning places for a game of football. It happens once a year. As you can see, have a look at that for a shot. Coming up on Saturday, May the 3rd, NTFA Division 2 side, the East Coast Swans. They're going to be taking on Campbelltown for the first time in a while in the Swans' annual heritage game at the Pyangana Recreation Ground. Each year, the club pays homage to either a league or club that are no longer with us. It is a fantastic event. And to tell us more, it's a great pleasure to be joined here in the studio. He's made the trip from St Helens. We've gone from Scottsdale to St Helens. It's the meeting point here on Tassie Rules, Tasmania's footy show. Steve Wally, president of the East Coast Swans. Nice to see you again, mate.
Oh, thanks, Rick. Really looking forward to having another chat.
Great. Now, mate, you are in not an East Coast Swans jumper today. You are in the Avoca Football Club jumper. It is a team that played its last game, over 36, 37 years ago.
1989.
Oh, there we go. So 36 years ago. And tell us about, every year we know about the history of this event, and it's a fantastic event, but the idea of the Avoca Football Club, how did that come about?
Well, as you've highlighted, Rick, we're gradually working through recognition of clubs that for a whole range of reasons don't exist anymore, and trying to capture that history of clubs both in the far northeast and through the Fingal Valley. Generally alternate a little bit between the far northeast and Valley. And with Campbelltown rejoining the NTFA, yes, we thought, wow, what an opportunity to recognise a Avoca Footy Club, rekindle the rivalry with Campbelltown. And we know that Avoca existed for 99 years as far as my research goes, and played their last game, which was a winning premiership in 1889 versus St Helens, actually. They rolled us on that day. Amazing. So great opportunity to recognise Avoca Footy Club. And in some ways, Rick, this weekend will be a bit of a reunion of the whole FDFA.
It will indeed, and we're going to pop the schedule up. But as you alluded to, with Campbelltown joining the NTFA, I mean, you guys obviously both played in the old Fingal District Football Association. We'll get you to run through the day because there's a lot of footy. It's going to kick off at 10 a.m. with the under-16s. That's a great thing that's going to be happening as well, in addition to the reserves and seniors.
Our under-16 team, and I imagine it's the same, we versus Scottsdale. It's one of the NTJFA roster games. Scottsdale we've developed a fantastic relationship with Scottsdale in a whole range of ways. And so under-16s kick off at 10 o'clock. I know our players are thoroughly looking forward to playing in front of a huge crowd. Yeah. And it's a fantastic part of our whole valuing of our junior footy program, bringing the whole of our community together. People now come and camp for the whole weekend because on Sunday we play the rest of the NTFA junior competition, and that's versus Scottsdale as well. So kick off with the under-16s, roll into the reserves at 12 o'clock against Campbelltown, and then the senior game kicks off at 2 o'clock. Brilliant.
And people can camp the night if they want to. There's going to be a spit roast. There's going to be entertainment. So where else would you rather be at a beautiful location like that? And the jumper, I mean, it's famous colours, of course, being the Demons colours. It's going to look magnificent when you run out there against the Robins. Just on Avoca, we're going to bring up a few pictures from their history. We've got the 1947 Premiership team as well, the 1980 Premiership flag, and also the 89 Premiership team, as you touched on before. A couple of famous names in there, Ian Donachie and Paul Ellis, who were outstanding footballers, former Launceston greats as well in that 89 Premiership side. But hoping to get a lot of the old Avoca players and supporters up there to Pyangana as well.
Sounds like social media and the word of mouth has got out there, and I think we'll have a huge contingent of Avoca players. Been chatting with Timmy Call, who coached the 1986 Avoca Premiership side. Once again, beat St Helens, bit of a sour point for us. It feels a bit awkward wearing this jumper, but I'm sure we're going to rekindle some of that great rivalry and some of the great friendships that evolved through that really, really significant, highly competitive FDFA period.
It's going to be outstanding. We might have a look at the NTFA Division 2 ladder that, of course, you're playing, because there is actually a game for premiership points being played here on this particular day. You had a narrow loss to Perth in round 1, huge win over Uni in round 2, so it should be a terrific matchup coming up against Campbelltown. Unusual situation for your club. With the Easter break, you got a bye this week, so by the time the 3rd of May rocks around, you wouldn't have played since the 12th of April. So how have you managed that in terms of for the players in particular? Because obviously you have training, but in terms of match, it's a long time, particularly early in the year.
It's probably helped in a little way, Rick. We've had a few niggling injuries there. Both training squads are fully at it. But really, it hasn't affected us too much, and the excitement of Pyengana just generates a whole lot of momentum in itself. The excitement about playing Campbelltown, first time for a long time, is a fair motivator in itself as well. And I imagine we're in for an absolute cracker of a weekend, and no doubt both the reserves and senior games against Campbelltown will be fantastic games.
Yep, they're 2 from 2 with the seniors as well, so it should be a beauty. We'll finish off and have a look at the round for this week in Division 2. So Campbelltown are playing Evandale, so this is going to be an absolute belter as well. This is tomorrow on Anzac Day, the seniors at 1:20, the reserves will play at 4, and I know both sides are going to be taking part in Anzac service, which is literally adjacent to the ground. So fantastic. So well done to Campbelltown for getting that up. And then the other matches, with East Coast having the bye, Perth are taking on Meander Valley, and Bridport will be hosting the University of Tasmania. So still got to get used to saying Division 2, Stephen. But it's shaping up as a very, very good competition, with obviously Perth pretty strong as well. New look Evandale outfit, you guys as well. So how are you feeling about the comp just finally?
My biggest reservation about going to 3 tiers was, can we keep Div 2 a really strong, competitive, high-profile competition? And wow, it's certainly shaping that way. It's going to be a hard gig making the finals, and so through the season we're going to see some fantastic footy.
I think we are. We're in for a treat. We're in for a treat coming up at Pyengana, so make sure you put that in your diaries. We'll give it another promo next week on the show as well. But to you and everyone involved down at the East Coast Swans, I know there's a great team behind this, not just yourself, but you put so much into it. They're playing for the Pyengana Cup as well, and it should be an absolute ripper of a day. Well done. We look forward to it. Hopefully the pig makes an appearance as well up at the pub a bit later on in the night. But should be a great weekend. Thanks for coming in too. Appreciate you making the trek to Launceston.
Thanks, Rick.
That's Steve Ollie, President of the East Coast Swans. We'll have all the details on our socials ahead of the game coming up on the 3rd of May at Pyengana. Back in a moment.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice, call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
HST Tree Specialists. We are the industry leaders in vegetation management in Tasmania. Our services include tree solutions, hazardous vegetation removal, and project consultations. We are committed to eliminating vegetation-based risk in Tasmania while being sensitive to environmental impact, with a strong focus on health and safety practices. And from large-scale government and commercial projects, small private arboriculture jobs, and equipment hire, MyTas recommends HST.
Welcome back to Tassie Rules, Tasmania's footy show, brought to you by our great friends at DLM Machinery. Well, to finish off the night, we've got a selection of photos that have been sent in from last weekend's round of action. So let's show them to you now. Firstly, big thanks to Dave Harding, who took this pic. Big mark taken by Glenorchy's Benjamin Barwick, and rather a nice little move there, almost a dance move, still shot there from the Lauderdale opponent. This was in their SFL clash last Saturday. Our second photo is from the Northwest Coast, and this was the NWFL clash between the Burnie Dockers and Ulverston. and this was sent in by Lisa Smith. So thank you to Lisa for sending us in that shot. Good crowd there too, between two big rivals from the Northwest Coast. And our last photo, and this is our winning photo. Have a look at this. This is sent in by Eliza Howlett. Thank you, Eliza. It's taken at Pontville last Saturday, and this was Brighton versus Hobart in the SFL Premier League clash. So a terrific photo there from the Brighton player and the winner. So a voucher coming your way. So thank you very much for sending us that one in, Eliza. So all you need to do is send us a message, shoot us through your favourite photo, wherever you might be watching the footy this Anzac Day weekend, or it might be from Anzac Day tomorrow. We'd love to get them. We'll have another winner on the show next week. All right, just to finish off, NWFL matches down the Northwest Coast coming up. Anzac Day kicks off tomorrow at Ulverston. Ulverston are taking on Penguin. We've got the men's game is starting at 2:45 p.m. and the women will be at 5:15 p.m. And then to finish off on Saturday morning, firstly at 10:50, we've got Devonport. The Burnie Dockers taking on Latrobe in the women. 2:20 will be the men. Wynyard are at home to East Devonport. That is a standalone men's match at 2:20 p.m. And then at the Devonport Oval, they're taking on the Circular Head Saints with the women kicking it off at 10:50, the men at 2:20 p.m. And a little bit of a save the date to round off the show. The Launceston Football Club, oldest football club in Tasmania and third oldest football club in Australia. They are celebrating their 150th anniversary. Saturday, the 12th of July, down at the Tailrace Centre in Riverside, up here in Launceston. More details are to come. So follow their Facebook page of the Launceston Football Club. In the next few days, they'll have details on how you can get tickets. We've gotten to interview as part of a documentary some amazing footballers from yesteryear, some very famous names. I know it is going to be a big function of celebration coming up. So whack that one in your diaries if you're a former player or supporter of the Launceston Football Club. All right, been a big show. Thanks very much to all of our guests. We are going to be back next Thursday. So join us from 7 p.m. Don't forget TikTok, Instagram, as well as our Facebook page and YouTube channel for all the latest from Tassie Rules. We are Tasmania's local footy show.